Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's great to see you on this Wednesday. Hope things are well. A lot to get into in this video. We'll talk about what's going on in the Western Caribbean and how that's going to equate to a very active pattern there. And the latest on that tropical disturbance. Always love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comment section below what's been happening in your area. Of course, this is the new Meteo Mundo. We have the headlines on the left-hand side of your screen. All of the impactful weather scrolling in that ticker. And there's a lot of marine issues and there's a lot of flooding potential in several spots we'll get into. We'll begin the video with what's happening right now in the Northwest Caribbean. And as we move along, you guys have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. Rich tropical moisture-laden air continues to get transported into northern latitudes here from the northwest sides of the Caribbean and into the southern Gulf, eventually going to interact with a cold front in an area of weak low pressure developing in the northern Gulf that will slide along the Gulf Coast states and bring ample moisture to this entire area, including Florida, the Bahamas, and already breaking out in Cuba, portions of the Yucatan, the Cayman Islands, and now beginning to see some of that slide as far south as Nicaragua and the coastline of Honduras. So wet weather beginning to stream in. These are areas that have been desperate for some rain, so at least right now, this is beneficial. If you guys live in La Ceiba or San Pedro Sula, the Bay Islands of Roatan, Utiligo, and Naha, let me know in the comment section below. You guys are going to see the 5-day forecast for over 45 cities scrolling at the bottom of your screen. Full forecast, including chances for rain, daytime highs in both Fahrenheit and Celsius for us here. And again, your sky conditions, you'll notice that the rain chances in these areas will be going up. So if you need some of those showers, let me know. But obviously, there's a lot of instability and lift in the moisture in the atmosphere, and we'll see these thunderstorms break out very quickly. Breezy. We have a special marine warning for portions of the Cayman Islands right now. 30+ mile-an-hour breezes over the Cayman Islands. You can see some of the passing showers rolling through. Wind gusts from time to time could even be elevated in that 35-40 mile-an-hour range. Some of the scattered showers trying to work their way out over towards Jamaica at the hour. In general, though, we are seeing drier conditions across the island so far for today. Not going to rule out some passing showers, mainly Westmoreland, Hanover parishes, Montego Bay, Lucy, Negril, maybe as far south as Savile-Lamar. You get deeper inland and east towards Linstead and Old Harbor and the Kingston areas, Port Antonio and Morant Bay, and rain chances on this Wednesday will be quite isolated indeed. Back over to where the moisture-laden air is funneling in right now, that's the western sides of Cuba. Again, lift in the atmosphere, just a ton of lightning, heavier downpours. This is an area I'm concerned about flooding. Same situation over the Cayman Islands, over the Yucatan Peninsula as well. We have even this kind of mid-level trough that's developed on the northwest side of the Yucatan. It's just aiding what's going to be very efficient tropical flow coming in, and the additional showers and thunderstorms will continue to break out. Now, all of this is funneling north at the hour, but is going to translate to the east deeper into this week and into this weekend. Already scattered showers over the peninsula of Florida. It's been a very blustery day. This is a drought-stricken area, central southern Florida and the Keys. So this rain is going to be beneficial, again, in the short term, but we could pick up some flood advisories and eventually down the road some bigger flood warnings as we continue to get inundated with the rain. And this translates over to the Bahamas eventually, especially by the early part of the next week. So that's what's happening with the system, at least at the current time. We're going to get much more into the disturbance itself and the forecast coming up a little bit later in the video. Let's continue with what's going on across the area today, because we do have now new flood warnings in effect for the Dominican Republic, especially interior sections just north of Santo Domingo. They could be getting 2, 3, even 4 inches of rain today, and it's not just showers. There's a lot of lightning embedded within this, producing some torrential downpours. Higher elevations back into the low-lying area, so you have some swift river rises, but you also have some landslide, mudslide potential here as well. And all of this rain just funneling into lower elevations very quickly can all cause some problems. So the DR right now, many locations, you'll see that at the bottom of your screen with some sort of flood warnings at this point in time. It's not as wet right now over the Haitian side of the island, but breezy conditions for Port-au-Prince at the hour. All right, back over to what's going on right now in the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Another blustery day, not as much marine issues for today, but scattered showers and thunderstorms are developing basically along this trough line, which just so happens to be setting itself up over Cuba, Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. And that rain has developed earlier today with some lightning in the northwest side of the islands towards Aguadilla. Even when we're not getting some rain, breezy conditions over Ponce and San Juan. Let me show you what's happening right now with the live radar out of Puerto Rico. And again, scattered showers and a few rumbles of thunder out there. Uti Alto, Arecibo areas, Aguadilla, downpours. Can't rule out the possibility of a little bit of flooding conditions here, a little bit of some quick rises to some of the water, but overall, moving fast enough that's not generally expected. Nice thunderstorms over the mode of passage out the hour. Scattered rain San Juan on over towards Fajardo, Yumacal. A couple of passing showers for Vieques and Culebra. And that's the same forecast for St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John, and the rest of the British Virgin Islands, where it's windy with some passing showers, but overall the rain totals aren't going to add up to much as the western side of Puerto Rico and is certainly into portions of the Dominican Republic. All right, back over to our satellite presentation here. We'll bring that up and loop it back up for you guys and continue on. I'm actually going to switch over to the visible satellite imagery as well, and then we'll get that fired up and looped up because I want to then talk about what's happening in the Antilles for today. Still going to have some passing showers. If you notice that there is a little bit of convergence with the winds here, and that's promoted a few more showers today up here towards Anguilla, St. Bart, Ceiba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, all with a slightly better chance for rain today and tomorrow, and then some drier weather coming in. I'm going to have more of that coming up as well. Hopefully you get some of the showers because these are your best chances for rain over the next 5 days. That being said, there's still quick passing showers and rainfall total-wise are generally not adding up to much. Still have the small craft advisories here for some of the islands I just mentioned. Not as much rain for today for Dominica and Martinique on over towards Guadeloupe. Passing showers trying to develop over places like St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and the northern side of the Grenadines. Few passing showers are possible in Barbados. The swell conditions have come down, so overall it's a better marine forecast in these spots on this Wednesday. Few scattered showers are possible over Grenada and T&T, trying to lift up some moisture from the mainland over Trinidad. Again, you live in Port of Spain. Let me know if you've caught a couple of those showers. Still a very breezy, dry, a little bit cloudier forecast over the ABC Islands. Look at these winds. Oranjestad, Willemstad, Curacao, 30, 35 plus mile an hour breezes. Now, it is transporting in a little bit more moisture. We are getting some thicker cloud coverage, especially over Curacao at the hour, and I can't rule out a shower. It's mainly just going to be some clouds, but if you catch a shower in the ABC Islands, let me know in the comments section below. We're going to start to see additional flooding rains develop over portions of Panama as well, and you'll see the description of that in the comments section below. The monsoon trough is going to be something to talk about in the next week or two. It's going to get very active here, and this could potentially start the beginning of the East Pacific hurricane season as well. Beautiful forecast today for my friends in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Still high pressure and control, at least at this point in time, so we're not seeing any impact so far from the disturbance out towards the west. But eventually you give it some time and everything works its way off towards the east. Okay, I appreciate you guys. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor real quick, don't do that. Let's talk about the subscribe button. Hit that for me. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, this is a whole different forecast from our daily forecast format. You're getting a lot more information on your screens. I do appreciate all of our members as well. Thanks for all the support. Simple way is just like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to get the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Why do I keep hitting that button? That's the button that I want to hit. I am going to take away the 5-day forecast, bring on our marine interest as well, because that's going to be a big story here with this disturbance, trying to get a little bit more, if not organized, just more involved in our forecast as it begins to spread north and eventually off towards the east. So now let's talk about the disturbance in general. It's just a disturbance. There is nothing at the lower levels that's trying to get initiated here, guys. This is going to be an extremely wet forecast for the Northwest Caribbean, for Cuba, for Central and Southern Florida, and eventually into the Bahamas. Just copious amounts of moisture is going to be the big story out of this, and it's going to take some time. This is not moving anywhere very quickly, so I do want to make sure that you guys are very aware of this scenario where the moisture transport is more south to north than anything right now, eventually being picked up by our front and being pushed off towards the east, where the Keys and the central and the northern sides of the Bahamas and South Florida, including Miami, get wetter weather. It builds in over the next 2, 3, 4, and even 5 days, but Cuba, the Yucatan, the Cayman Islands, portions of the northern sides of Central America likely to stay very wet. Now, I promise you guys I'm going to keep you very updated with anything that the models are showing in the way of potential development with this. So that's going to be the next weather headline. What are the models saying with the potential organization of what's happening right now in the northwest side of the Caribbean and in the Gulf? Well, let's take a look at that. We're going to start off right now with the European model AI version. You guys know we now have the AI versions of the models running. As I take you through this, you're not going to see much. I'm going to loop this up one more time so you, again, over the next week, we don't really have the AI version of the European model showing any surface low pressures. Might see a little something off of the east coast of the United States as that front comes off, but for the Northwest Caribbean, for the Southern Gulf, there is no development whatsoever on the AI version of the European model. This is the GFS AI version. This is the pressure anomaly, where you see the blue are weaker pressures, where you see the yellows are higher than normal pressures. If you notice, through next Wednesday, there is nothing out there. Now, we'll see some ensemble members of the GFS still trying to promote some weak areas of low pressure, but nothing even on the GFS right now is crazy. If you see something on a social media post that's out a week or two and it's pointed at a certain location, at this point in time, you can disregard any of that. There's nothing that I've seen that points there being a strong, organized system, an Arthur out there right now. To show you guys what is happening with the operational GFS model, I will loop that up for you guys so you can kind of take a look and see. Now, this is going to be the moisture associated with the GFS. Now, it's wetter, it keeps a chunk of energy in the Northwest Caribbean, and it does try and wrap it up into at least more of an organized rainmaker. We'll see if that plays out. At this point in time, I'm discounting this somewhat. The rain associated with it early on, I absolutely buy. But beginning early next week, right, do we really start to see some kind of broader mid-level spin developing here? If it does come out, right, regardless of anything trying to get going, it just turns into an even wetter forecast for the Yucatan, the northern sides of Central America, Jamaica, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, and South Florida. Kind of a second slug of some heavy rain that could be coming back in. But at this point in time, really what we want to look out for is through the 30th, just broad areas of very wet weather, even towards Bermuda as the front sinks in. So the biggest concern that I have right now, and now I can finally bring on the graphic that I wanted to show you, is the areas of potential flooding rains. It's the Yucatan, it's Cuba, it's especially South Florida, but Central Florida could see some excessive rainfall as well, and it's the Central and the Northern Bahamas. These are the spots at this point in time that I'm going to be monitoring for that potential for that. When we look at the rainfall totals, again, because the moisture transport is slow to move to the north, we could see some excessive rainfall in the Northwest Caribbean. Does it get as far north as the Cayman Islands? It's possible. Right now the model just 5 days out tries to bring the potential for some excessive rainfall totals. We can kind of look at those here, query them. If I bring that up, you can see the excessive rainfall totals just south of the Cayman Islands, but certainly hugging portions of the Central American Caribbean coastline as well. Nicaragua, Honduras, Belize, the Bay Islands, and again, up towards Cancun and Cozumel. Could be a very wet forecast. Even the western side of the Yucatan. This is the areas that I have that could see some potential flooding. Same situation for the central and the western sides of Cuba. Spotty, heavier rain over portions of Florida. Not as much through the weekend in the Bahamas, but the rain is going to be building through next week for Nassau, New Providence, Freeport, Lucaya, and Grand Bahama. If we look at the European rainfall totals over the next 7 days, again, broad, weak area of low pressure, Northwest Gulf, aiding in some of that activity with the cold front. once it all kind of conglomerates together through next week, look at the widespread 3, 4, 5+ inches of rain through basically all of Central America and the Yucatan, portions of Cuba, all of Florida. That could be double those amounts. And again, the central and the northern sides of the Bahamas are wetter. Doesn't mean we're not going to get some rain through the rest of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico and the eastern side of the Caribbean, but certainly not the concentration. Here, it's more about the wind in the short term, and then it's going to be more about the Saharan dust that's going to be coming in. Looking at the wave heights, this is going to be an issue. You're going to see a lot of marine advisories that'll be popped up there, scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And again, wave heights building, probably in that 3+ meter height in some areas, over 9 feet. And we'll see how this plays out. But there's already the large wave and strong wind advisory for all of Jamaica, and additional marine warnings for the Cayman Islands, the near gale warning for the Bahamas at this point in time. So that's all going to be a big issue over the next several days as all of that energy lifts up to the north. So boating conditions will be really going back downhill as well. Now, the other interesting thing is the Saharan dust. I want to get back out to the wide satellite imagery here and then bring on our water vapor imagery. This is an indication of the amount of moisture in the atmosphere. The greens are your wetter areas, clear to see, still have this little baby ridge here in the western side of the Atlantic. But eventually we're getting a big transport of Saharan dust that's going to be moving in, and this will be the most concentrated Saharan dust that we've seen. Took myself off camera so you guys can clearly see this. Look at that plume of Saharan dust coming in as we get into the weekend in early next week. So on the heels of this disturbance out west, it gets very hazy with dropping rain chances through the Antilles, including the Windward Islands and the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, Hispaniola, maybe towards Jamaica and the portions of Turks and Caicos as well. So this is a large concentration of Saharan dust. Expect there to be a lot of haze, and of course that suppresses the potential for rainfall in these areas. Still going to have a lot of wind, AB sounds included in this, but all the wet weather for the short term and even through the weekend is going to be out west. So friends, that's what I'm monitoring here across the area. Again, marine conditions that'll be elevated in a lot of spots, and the opportunity to see more disturbed weather out west, and we'll see how this all comes together over the next several days. Again, I'm not expecting any tropical development, but a large area of impactful rainfall. That is a near certainty, and I'm always keeping an eye on all the models, always showing you guys some of the different things that I see behind the scenes, and I'll continue to do that for you guys as well. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. You want the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. If you got a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comment section below. Appreciate this fantastic community. Appreciate all my friends. You guys have a great rest of your day, and I'm back tomorrow with the latest forecast. Until then, take care.